Hello, hello, hello. Who's in here? Hello, guys. Come on in the chat. Say hello. Who's this? Hey, Ken. How you doing, sir? What's this? Everything's okay. Thank you. Paid enough for the system, I guess. I'm going to upgrade a couple different things as soon as I get a few extra dollars. Hopefully I could have a one more camera for the bass drum. Set my cameras up and my setup. Do a lot of different things come the first of the year, but it takes money. And that's an issue with everybody. Hey, did you get the PDFs, Ken? Polyfunk. It's a very difficult lesson. I don't want to start getting into it until there's a few more people in the chat. Hopefully you got the PDFs. Oh, but I can't see. The light is blinding me. Are you getting a glare on a video? If so, I might have to rearrange the light. Are you able to understand that, Ken? It's a 3-measure phrase. I've taken page 11 from Gary Shafee's time functions, all the foot patterns against the four. It's actually the 4, and the hi-hat is the 3. You see where I'm getting the 3 against 4? You're playing the 4, but you're thinking in 3. I'm counting always to start this off. My hi-hat's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you have the PDF, just look at the first one. It's actually, this is going to be for all of them, the top line and the hi-hat. My hi-hat is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. What's this one? Yeah, you guys are going to get banged with the snow. Well, hey, you can stay in the house and practice. Okay, so I'm playing the hi-hat, and I'm counting 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. We understand that so far. Okay, Jim? Okay, Ken? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that's going to be constant. And I'm counting in 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. My right hand is going to be playing in 3. Every third beat, third quarter note, I'm changing it. Where I'm coming back to the 1. Watch. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and that was 3 measures. I come to the 4th measure, it starts all over again. 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and now I come to the 3. It starts all over again. 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and I come to the 3 of the third measure. 3 E and 4 E and I made a mistake there. How you doing, Ed? And let me do it again. I'll do it slow for you guys. Slow motion, concentrate, focus. Hi-hat, right hand. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. Sorry. Ed, you practiced the hell out of this afternoon, right? How about you there, Jim? I know, Ken, you weren't here this afternoon. Now let's do it again, nice and slow. 1, right hand, left hand. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E. I'm sorry. Man, as soon as I think of something else, I lose where I'm at. I can play it there. Hey, did you practice this? Well, you got 3 guys from Mass here. You got Jim, you got Ken, and you got Ed. And you guys are all snowed in. What's this, Jim? Well, it has to be slow, and the thing is repetition. The more you do this, let me explain how I practice this like I did slow on the drum set. Sometimes I'm unable to get on the drum set. So, my mind is never still. I'm always thinking or creating from stick control book, or I'm practicing, mental practice. So they call that. So let me just give you an example. Towards the end of the day, you know, when I have something for dinner, I go lay down on the couch after dinner. Oh. And when I'm laying down, I have my 4 limbs, my right foot, my left foot, my right hand, and my left hand. So I'm taking my left foot and pretend it's the hi-hat. And I'm playing the left foot, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4, very slow. So I say, okay, my hi-hat's in order. And I'm going to play my right hand with my hi-hat, like I'm doing now. On the couch, mentally practicing. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and I just played the 3 measures. What I will do is I will play them over and over again. What is that? All right, what do you want me to run, Ken? I just did my ride cymbal and my hi-hat. Want me to re-explain it? You guys see and rather hear the 3 against 4? Yes, no? All right, I'm going to do it again, nice and slow. Okay, here we go. Hi-hat, ride cymbal. Now, I'm just locking in on these voices, but you can play it eventually once you get feeling free with it and making it flow. You can play it all over the place. I'm counting 16ths. 1, E, and, the. 2, E, and, the. 3, E, and, the. 4, E, and, the. 1, E, and, the. 2, E, and, the. 3, E, and, the. 4, E. Let's measure. And, the. 1, E, and, the. 2, E, and, the. 3, E, and, the. 4, E, and, the. Now that's slow. If you could maintain, hey, you doing there, Dave? Or is it SP? Is that good, Ken? See, this is where I didn't want to start. Everybody comes in late, then I got to answer a question I did already, which is okay, but see, when I do something like this, very slow, and if I did it for 5 minutes, it's so exhausting mentally, not physically. I mean, it's simple. It's just mentally, you're 1, E, and you're cleaning your mind. The only thing that exists is what you're doing, which is just what's supposed to happen. I'm not sure who said this afternoon, but somebody said, well, where can you use this at? Who knows? I don't know. And Ed gave a good statement on that one. It's just that you're expanding your vocabulary, developing more coordination and control. You know, I show you a paradiddle, show you doubles, show you triplets, show you a jazz pattern. Where do you put that? Inside of music, inside of the groove, which is inside of your conversation that you're having with the other musicians. Now, do you understand? Everybody is following me so far. What I said to you last week is I'm going to take the journey of showing you how I enter this, how I'm going to develop it. So far, I have the right hand and the left foot going. I'm sort of dissecting it. I'm playing that left foot so you could hear the 4, and I'm playing the ride cymbal so you could hear the 3. I mean, the 3 with the hi-hat and the 4 with the ride cymbal. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, it's not going to happen tomorrow morning. It's going to happen over a period of time. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with 1 through 22. We will take 1, we'll take 2, 3, and 4, and we'll stay with it once in a while, and we'll go on to something else. Now, I've come up with a developmental exercise, okay, for this pattern with the stick control book. I'm going to play my right hand the way I just demonstrated. I'm going to play my left foot, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to play down the stick control book. All R's become the right foot, the bass drum. All L's become the snare. So I'm just going to give you an example, and I've been writing that out. Before I continue, does anybody have any problems? Hey, Joe, does anybody have any problems reading the PDFs? If I get some, problems there, I'll write out. I'm going to just write out some reading exercises and show you how I teach it and foolproof it. Okay? Hey, Paul. Were you shoveling snow, Paul? Okay, anyway, just kidding. Anyway, if I took the stick control book and looked at the first line and said, okay, make all the rights the bass drum, all the lefts the snare drum. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a. I add my left foot. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a. Then the right hand's going to play the pattern. All right, what we're going to do, I just started to write them out about an hour ago. All right, is there any questions so far about this, guys? Paul, you have the PDFs. You having any problems with this, Paul? Don't say no, because if you say no, I'm going to send you money for a plane ticket to come here and give a demonstration. What is this? We drummers use the no differently than words when constructing a sentence. If you need to write words at some point, at least you learn them. Okay. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's okay. Anyway, I talk the way I talk. I'm not an English major. I do not have sentence structure as if I were the president of the United States. Well, today with Donald Trump, I'm doing a good second here. But like Barack Obama, what was his name? Bush. It's beyond difficult. What is your problem that you're having with that, Paul? Are you able to play the first one? Is it the way you're entering it, understanding it? Do you know where the 3 against 4 is inside of the 3 lines? And this is going to benefit everybody because I'm going to do it again and explain it again. And this is the last time tonight that I'm explaining the first one. Okay. I'm playing my hi-hat 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And with that constant, I'm going to play my right hand part on this cymbal, the ride cymbal. So look at the PDF while I'm playing this. I'm going to give you 2 beats to come in. 1 E and the play E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Son of a bitch. What is this? Yeah, well, you got to do it this way, Paul. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and back. 1 E back. Over and over again. Do it like that for 5-10 minutes, man. You're going to take a nap. Well, the thing is, you got to come to a happy medium on that, Paul. You have to find a zone where you're in total control of all your limbs. This is not a speed contest. This is about making it flow at one point where you have total control of all your limbs when you're doing it. Now, don't try 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them. Stay with line 1. Develop line 1. Slow. You feel good with that? Go to line 2. You permutate the bass drum instead of the 1 and 3. Now you're on the E of 1, the E of 3, and so on and so forth. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to try to do 1 through 6 with everybody. Well, it's not when I say you may never use it, I mean, that was off the wall, Ken. You know, this pattern is funky. It's a difficult pattern. It's unusual. But the object here, like I said before, is to develop control of your limbs, an intense focus, okay? And as they start to flow, you start to hear different patterns. This is difficult. If you can do 1 through 22, from the workbook, all the stuff I've given you is going to be a piece of cake because this is very difficult. And there's more coming of this stuff. So the more difficult, it's not rewarding at the end of an hour practice. It is rewarding the fact that you practiced for an hour and you did it slow and you're developing control. And like I said, you know, you may never use it. Who knows? I mean, if you're playing in a polka band, I don't think you're going to use it. But if you're playing in a funk band, it might happen. Where you use it, nobody knows. You know, it's like if I sit down with a piano, bass, and drums today, and I play A Moment's Notice. I don't know if anybody knows that song by John Coltrane. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-do-ba-dee-da, da-da-da-da, ba-do-ba-dee-da, ba-da-do, so on and so forth. All right. If I played that song tonight with a trio, I play the head twice and play it. Now tomorrow night comes, I play the same song. I'm going to play it the same rules, but a little bit different because I'm going to feel it differently. That's what this is about. This is difficult, no doubt about it. No, we're going to stay on number 1 tonight. And I'm going to give you an additional exercise for number 1, actually for all of them. If you took, like I said before Paul came in, I was starting to do this. If you took the stick control book and you took the first line of stick control book, page 5, and instead of going 1 and 2 and, you're going to think of it as 1 E and 2 E and you're going to play all the rights with the bass drum, all the lefts on the snare. So you're going to have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and You're going to play the hi-hat on 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and And you're going to play the ride cymbal part. That's the 4 against the 3. This is the 3. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3. Okay? I'm writing it out now. Hopefully I'll get maybe 12 lines of that and send it to you for tomorrow. You need to hang out with the first one first. You need to just sit down and play it instead of just thinking about it. Like and meditate. 1 E and the. Just let it flow. Sorry. That sounds like shit. Let me play the bass drum as the bottom. Three times. Let it flow like that. Once you get it going there like that, feeling good, then move on. Okay? You know, I sent this to a few different people separately. One guy in particular was my roommate and my former student, and he was one of my better friends here. And we used to live in the house called the Drum House for about 5 or 6 years. And it was 7 days, 24 hours a day drumming. So one Sunday afternoon, I had finished teaching early, and he come down, he wanted to practice a little bit. So what I did is I showed him something from the syncopation book. I forgot exactly what page it was. It was a 3 against 2 against 4 pattern, playing it down. So I showed him what it was, and he was not obsessed, but he was infatuated by it. He said, "Whoa, wow, boom, boom." So I said, "All right, you know, after about a half hour, I said, let's go get something for dinner." He goes, "No, I'll stay here." So I went and got some dinner, hung out a little bit. After 2 hours, I come back. He's still in the studio practicing that. He was obsessed with polyrhythms. He was determined to get it, and he did. He got it. And I'll show that to you one day, what page on the syncopation book. Right now, you're overwhelmed with this. Just keep doing the first line and the first line of stick control book. You want to go to the second line of stick control book, it's a different mindset. The third one, different mindset. The pattern's the same with the right hand. The pattern's the same with the left hand. What's changing is the bass drum and the snare drum against the pattern. You do that, it's like an exercise to develop this stuff. Like I said, if you can play 1 through 22 on the PDFs with that pattern and make that flow, you could open up to any page in the workbook, or any page for that matter in Shafee's book with any one of those cymbal patterns and blow right through it. That's how intense this is. It takes a tremendous amount of focus. Now, I know it's difficult. I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time with this. I'm going to try to hit tomorrow afternoon number 1 through 5 or 6 or whatever, or some of the stick control book, or I'll send you some PDFs maybe. It's a lot of work, guys. But all right, here's what I'm going to do, Jim. That opens up something for me to send you. It's about the reading. What I'm going to do, that's a difficult thing to do for me because of the way the rest are. I'm going to do something to show you how it's counted. You have to see some of that reading that I'm going to send you. You're counting, that's where it becomes difficult. The pattern itself is not difficult. It's the thought process. You're reading it in 4, but you're playing it in 3. That's tough. That's where the polyrhythm comes in. 3 over 4, 3 against 4. That's where the difficulty is. Where the hi-hat is, the hi-hat's going to be constant on this. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. Here's what I assume, or what I'm figuring with that statement. Your reading is not strong. It's a little on the weaker side. Am I correct there, sir? It's nothing to be ashamed about. Be honest about it. Be humble, and you go forward. 1, E, and A. I'm going to try to do that for you, okay? I'll try to do that on the stick control exercises. How's that sound? Okay? So we all have to strengthen our weaknesses. That's how we become better. We have to realize it and face our weaknesses, being humble. And say, oh, this is where I need to work. Boom. And work at it. Get better. Get stronger. Like I have a gentleman, he's from, I think, New Zealand. He was on here this afternoon. His name was Rima, I don't know, whatever his name was. And he's a Facebook friend, and he said to me, hey, Matt, you told everybody one time you practice 3, 4, 5 hours a day, which I still do. And they say, he says to me, how do you motivate yourself? Don't you get bored? How can you get bored when there's so much to do? I could practice everything I know and never repeat myself until for the next 20 years. If I can remember all that stuff, you don't get bored. There's a routine, like I said this afternoon. The term routine, and I think that you're going to maybe give me a hard time with this one there, Paul. Routine or routinization is to me death, man. It's just like, it's what you do every day. You get up in the morning, you have breakfast. Me, I get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee and a cigarette. but it's something I do every day. That's routinization. If you're going to practice a routine, which I totally disagree with, you practice where you need to practice. It's not a routine. Okay? What I do insist upon, and you can take it for what it's worth. When I start my practice on a daily basis, now that's not routine. That's a necessity to become better. So let's distinguish that. So what I do is I say, okay, I need to loosen up. How do I loosen up? Hello, George L. Stone, full strokes, half strokes, and quarter strokes with the vamp, variety of measures, a variety of tempos with the metronome. That's how I loosen up for a half hour. Okay? That helps. Self-motivation, I could go through a whole lecture. I don't want to be a bullshitter anymore. And there are plenty of them out in the drum community. The ambassador of the drum world. The greatest motivational speaker I ever heard. And I think that the guy does a good job motivationally. Playing-wise, that's another issue. I don't agree with most of these so-called greats. Okay? Okay, so, it's not motivation. The motivation is this. Let's say, and this is a metaphor here, let's say we have a bank account, okay? And this week you put $50 in. Next week you put another $100 in. Then you miss a week. Then you put $25 in. And then you go to the bank and say, let me see my balance. What? $175? That's all? Jeez. I want to be a millionaire. Well, if you want to be a millionaire and that's your goal, that's not a motivation. That's hard work. You need to put your money into the, what's this? Oh, thank you, Joe. Anyway. You put into your practice and you're going to get it out. Some things are more difficult. You have to spend more time. If you can practice every day, that is fantastic. Okay? Occasionally, I need a day off, man. I'm just getting up there in age. I'm going to be 73 next week. However, man, I still try. Physically and mentally, I'm okay with it. Physically, oh, come on, this old age shit sucks. But hey, that's what happens when you get old. Anyway, what I want to do is develop this for you guys slowly. And I said I'm going to share my approach and my entrance point to how I do this. Now, I'm sitting here talking as opposed to demonstrating or playing, which we will get to 1 p.m. tomorrow. I just want to set the platform so we go up the steps slowly. Do we have any question? Well, that's a good t-shirt. I've never seen that. Work harder, nobody cares. Well, I don't really care what anybody thinks about it. I just work hard to become what I want to become. Right, Joe? Anybody have any questions? I'm going to try to get some stuff out to you tonight or tomorrow morning. Please, it's a lot of time, a lot of work. And no memberships. Well, yeah, I have one membership. Well, I know my problem is in numbers, 73 is old. However, being 73, sometimes I feel like I'm 15 or 16. And that's where the problem comes in. The problem is I start not acting that way, but physically becoming that. And after a half hour or an hour, I'm tired. Do you want to sight recharge? We're going to go, there's so much to do. We're going to take the syncopation. I'll give you I'll try to write a chart for a simple tune like Satin Doll or Take the A Train. How's that sound? You want to head Latin. You know what? A good friend of mine, he deceased a couple years back. And you probably heard of him, Chuck Silverman. Chuck Silverman was originally from Brooklyn, but he moved to California. And I saw him do the first clinic at the opening of this new Sam Ash in Edison, New Jersey. And he didn't impress me at all. Okay? He's a nice guy, very friendly, very warm. And little did I know how much knowledge he had. But there's one thing that he said about the son clave. And we're going to talk about that's a whole different discussion. Because, I have a lot of arguments with the Spanish-speaking or Spanish-orientated people about the clave, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, we hung out a few times on Skype. We talked a few times on Skype, and he said that he would like, when he's going to visit his family in Brooklyn, such and such a date. So we were going to set up him doing a live lesson here. So we come up with a date. Would you believe 2 weeks before the date he passed on? Just like that. He was a young guy, man. But he said a few things. Without the clave, there is no music, no Latin music. All right, if you want, and he goes down to Cuba and into the Spanish-speaking cultures, and he hangs out with the locals. And he said, you want to learn how to play Latin? Eat their rice and beans, man. And you get in with them and you learn their dialect, what they're talking about, and how to play that kind of music, which I agree with. You want to learn how to play jazz? Go hang out with the jazz dudes at a jazz jam, or go see some jazz players. You want to play heavy metal? Take off your shirt, get 100 tattoos and 75 piercings, and scream and beat the shit out of your drums. Then you're a heavy metal drummer. No problem. Okay? But anyway, I've had a few disputes about the clave. Now, you guys are going to probably disagree with it. I know you might disagree with me there, Ed. But the term clave means rhythmic key. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And there's 3 son claves. There's the 3-2, the 2-3, and the rumba clave. Notice I rolled my R. Now, the clave means rhythmic key. And the clave, okay, if it's the rhythmic key, it repeats itself. 1 E and the 2 and ooh, ooh, bop. So that's repeating itself over and over again. What's the definition of an ostinato? A pattern which repeats itself. So is there any difference between the 3-2 clave, the clave and the ostinato? Now clave, if it means rhythmic key, I could play boom, 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 boom. That's the rhythm I'm playing from, off of. That is the rhythmic key. Now, is that a clave or is that an ostinato? This is where I get into arguments, and I don't have time to argue no more. Okay. Do we have any questions about tonight? Because I'm totally exhausted. I'm going to need to get something to eat and see if I can get at least 12 lines of that stuff to you guys. Okay, gentlemen? It's going to be in 3 measure increments. And as far as the reading is concerned, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a measure of something, all right, the way it's written, and then I'm going to show you how to read it by eliminating the lefts. So you're all the time correct. Yeah. You know, I don't know if anybody knows Billy Martin. And Billy Martin, I met him a few times at clinic. As a matter of fact, he was a former student of Alan Herman's. And he put a book out on, I think it was the Clave. I have the book. I forgot it. You could do any kind of pattern, which is the key to the form. One at a time, Paul. Stay on the first one, man. Slowly. Take that tempo. Set the metronome to, say, 60. 1, E, and the 2. And play it there, all the parts. And go over and over and over again for 3-4 minutes. Take a break. And then up the metronome. If you're at 60, maybe 64. Do it again for 3 or 4 minutes. That's where you're going to go and become, you're going to go forward. Remember, guys, the quote, stay humble, you will grow. Listen, steal with your eyes, and play with your heart. I like that. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. There's no questions. Paul, is there snow in Chicago area, in Indiana, or Illinois, rather? You too, Ken. You're welcome, Jim. Paul, is there any snow in Illinois? No snow in Quincy, but in Mass, there's a lot of snow. Maybe they didn't want to snow on Quincy there, Ed. Okay. Donations are accepted. Okay. Okay, guys. We'll see everybody tomorrow evening, 1 p.m. How's that sound? Don't hurt yourselves. Oh, boy. Yeah, Wisconsin and Minnesota get a lot of that stuff, man. The Great Lakes area, Green Bay. You're welcome, guys. We'll see you later. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Have a good evening. Good night.